Hi, I'm Jeanette and this is my garden. So this is the front yard. We moved in here at the end of 2015 and I started planting the following February. So February 2016 is when I started putting in trees and some wood chips and other things, and just kind of slowly filling everything in. We live in a very suburban neighborhood in the Pacific Northwest, and our lot is, I think it's about 7,800 square feet. So it's not super big, but it's pretty filled with things. So I'm going to be just walking around the front garden. This first video is just going to be the front, talking about some of the plants I have and what I like about them and why I have them. Beautiful forsythia in full bloom right now. So I came back over here to the spot that's kind of directly in front of the house, and it doesn't look like very much right now. It's kind of brown still, but this whole area is mostly mint. I have chocolate mint. This stuff right here is chocolate mint, and then over there a little ways is I have mojito mint, and I have other things in here too, like lots of lemon balm, and there's some grape hyacinth and some other things. There's a lot also, unfortunately, things I don't like. This bishop's weed, for example, also known as gout weed. It's edible. I've used it some, but man, it is an aggressive ground cover. It was here before I was here. So anyway, I decided to put mint in to kind of compete with that stuff. And I also have chameleon weed, which isn't like a medicinal and an edible, but I think it smells so bad. I don't like that plant, so I'm trying to cover it up with things I do like. But yeah, most people don't really like mint in the ground, but I do, because it's great for pollinators, it's great for tea. I think it looks really pretty. This chocolate mint particularly, it gets pretty tall and it blooms later, so I can have things into like October that are still providing food for pollinators. Especially, I see a lot of wasps on the chocolate mint. They really like that. At the bottom of the stairs in front of the house, kind of next to the mint, is this Rosa rugosa. It's just coming into leaf now. I really like this one. It's very prickly, but that's kind of the only bad thing about it, really. It makes beautiful magenta blooms that are an open form rose. It's not like a frilly, like English rose. And that's important because those open type shaped flowers are a lot better for pollinators. They can actually get in there and get the pollen. When you have those frilly roses, they can't really, those don't do as much for the bugs, but this is great. It's very beautiful flowers, very fragrant, and great for tea. The petals and also the hips. You can see the hips here that are the old dead ones from last year. I just kind of left on there, but it makes really big rose hips. They're a little fiddly because inside the hips are full of these irritating hairs. You definitely don't want to ingest those or get them in your tea, but if you can scrape it out, then the outer flesh of the rose hip is good for tea, and it's very rich in vitamin C. You can also just eat it fresh, like a little fruit. This shrub right here, which is kind of goes down to the ground there, this is a gumi berry. I have two. This is my smaller, newer one. The bigger one is right there. I should probably go look at that one, but gumi is in the Elaeagnus family, which is a family of plants that they are nitrogen fixers, which means they get nitrogen out of the atmosphere and make it usable for the plant, with an association with a bacteria. And I can't remember which bacteria at the moment, but But yeah, it's an awesome plant because, well, it fixes nitrogen for itself. It doesn't really share in the soil, but I like to have nitrogen fixers around as like mulch plants. So if I, need to prune it, I can chop up the branches or chip it and use that as a nitrogen-rich ground cover mulch, which is great. Here, we'll go over to the other one. Okay, here's the other Goumi. This is bigger, and I've actually had to hack this one back quite a bit to kind of be able to walk past it. Another thing I love about this plant is it makes extremely fragrant, beautiful flowers, like a ton of them. So I think those come around in like April or May. I'll do another video later to kind of show the progression, but beautiful flowers, and it makes a ton of berries. And the berries they're kind of astringent, but I really like them. They taste good, lots of little red berries. So it makes fruit, it's fragrant, it looks nice, nitrogen fixer, pretty unproblematic. I think it has some spikes. You kind of have to watch out for the little spikes here and there. But otherwise, it's a great plant. Near the Goumi, I have one of my 2 honeyberries. This one is a lot closer to the house. So we're on like the north side of the house, so this part of my yard gets a lot more shade, especially in the winter. In the summer it's all blasted by sun, but right now it's not as sunny in this part. So this honeyberry it's not as far along. I have 2, I'll show you the other one, but you can see just barely there, the teeny little flower buds are starting to form. You need 2 honeyberries to get pollination to make berries. So I have 2. Let me go show you the other one. So here's the other honeyberry, and it's somewhat of a different form for some reason. It's a little bit more upright. I'm not really sure why, but you can see this one's in the sun. The sun is shining now, and it's much farther along. It has much more leaves are out, and it's already blooming. Oops, how did I get there we go. Yeah, it's already blooming. The bumblebees really like this because it's one of the earliest flowers out. And of course it makes berries later. It's one of the earlier berries around May, before even strawberries are ready. It makes these kind of oblong purple berries, and to be honest, they're not really my favorite berry. They don't, once in a while, get an okay tasting one if it's really ripe, but they're not my favorite. My kids love it though, so it's fine. And I think if you really wait for them to be ripe, or you mix them with other berries, it'd be great. But even having it for pollinator value alone, I think is pretty valuable. I wanted to take sort of a pan through the garden a little bit to kind of see where things were. There's that Rosa rugosa. There's an osoberry, which I can talk about in a minute. There's that small Goumi surrounded by some raspberries, which kind of like to go everywhere. Not a bad thing. There's a sage, and over there is another sage. I have these two big sages. They're pretty old now. I've had them for, I guess, well, however long I've had the garden. They started out as little discount plants, like 99 cents, and they got so big. Those make wonderful flowers that the pollinators also really like. There's that honeyberry that's in flower. The stick in the middle here, you can see it. It's a mulberry. I planted it, let's see, was it last fall? I think so. It's pretty new. It's pretty small still. It actually made berries though, like soon after I put it in the ground. It died back a little bit at the top and I cut it back, but it's still alive, thankfully. We're gonna go over this way. There's that big Goumi. And here, this tree, this is a persimmon. And I can't say I recommend this in in this climate, in this area of the country. It's a Fuyu type. And I think in the time I've had it, it's made one edible fruit that was like the size of a silver dollar. it's not great. It's kind of pretty. The leaves are kind of interesting, and it grows okay. Leaves out pretty late compared to other things, but I would not plant it again. I thought about removing it, but it's kind of more trouble than it's worth at this point to do that. Over here, I have a this is a Korean nut pine, and these are pretty slow growing. It has not made any nuts yet, but it's pretty, and I really like how the needles look, and it's been doing pretty good. So, you know, I don't know, 10-15 years from now maybe I'll see a nut off of there, but that's okay. There's lots of other things. Speaking of nuts, I have a couple chestnuts, and these are, you can see it still has all the leaves still on it. This chestnut, it was suffering, and we had a heat wave a few years ago, and it kind of suffered in that, and I had to cut a lot of it back, but it's put out a lot of new growth. But it's only made like 1 or 2 nuts since I've had it. And I know these will grow here because there are chestnut orchards like not far from me, with beautiful big trees. This is it's a Chinese chestnut hybrid, I think. It's like a dwarf Chinese chestnut. And I have another one over there that, because I had 2 and the other one like died completely. The other one's very small still. So hopefully that will get bigger this year. But I think it's a really cool looking tree, and I really like it, and I really want it to work. So I'm just gonna kind of give it more time to keep going and see if it can make some more nuts. This shrub here, this is a 9-bark, which is a native shrub in the Pacific Northwest. And it's called that, or that common name is there because you can kind of see that down there. The bark on like mature trunks, mature stems gets very shreddy and like layered looking. Like it has nine of them, 9 barks. So yeah, it's kind of interesting name, but it's a great native shrub. Pretty vigorous and great for pollinators. It makes pretty little like clusters of white flowers later. And I've definitely had to cut this back to size. It's right by the sidewalk, and I just try to kind of keep things not too messy in the front for neighbors' sake. But down here we have really, oh, it's looking so pretty. It smells great. This is a red flowering currant, which is another native, Pacific Northwest native. And it has these beautiful drooping pink flowers, which bumblebees also love. There was a big queen bumble flying around here a few minutes ago. And it makes berries too. They're not like, you know, prime berries, but I actually like them a little bit better than the honeyberries. They taste a little bit better to me, especially if they're like kind of big and juicy. But oh look, there's a little bug getting some sun on that leaf. Hi, buddy. The sun brings everyone out. But I really like this, and it's really easy to propagate with layering. So what you could do, like with this branch, for example, anything that's like a low growing branch, what I do in the fall is I would just kind of like push that down to the ground, maybe scrape the bark back a little bit where it touches the ground, and put some dirt on top, and then put like a heavy rock on top, and just let it sit there all fall. And then when you come back in the spring, it'll have roots, and you just cut it off and put it in a pot, and that's it. One thing I like to grow in my garden are medicinal herbs as much as I can. One thing I have here, it looks very small. Boop, this little guy. This is Arnica chamisonis, or meadow arnica. It grows better and like more prolifically here at like lower elevations than say Arnica montana, which is a, you know, mountain one. I actually have an Arnica montana too, but it's younger and it doesn't spread as much. This likes to kind of spread, which is great. So it looks kind of like nothing much right now, but it'll make pretty yellow flowers later in like great abundance. And you just pick those flowers and dry them out and put them in some oil, and for a couple months, and then mix that oil with some melted beeswax, and you have Arnica salve. for sore muscles or joints. It's great. Salve is actually very easy to make. It seemed mysterious to me before, but it's great. So this here is part of a much larger plant. This is a blue elderberry. So last year it started leafing out and growing, and then it started to look kind of bad, and I was like, what's going on? And I noticed down at the bottom here there were lots of new sprouts, and that's what these were, the new sprouts. And so I took a chance and I cut the whole thing down. All these stumps, I just cut everything down that looked bad and let the new green stuff kind of take over. And so all of that was in 1 year of growth, and it made flowers and it made berries last year, all from nothing basically. So, and I realized maybe after, sort of too late, I was like reading something about elderberry, and it said that they really like to be, well, either like burned or like cut back, just basically kind of decimated every once in a while to regenerate their growth. And it really did help. So this year I was looking at it, seeing like, are you going to need that again, or are you going to be okay? And I don't see any new shoots yet, so I'm just kind of assuming it'll be okay. I might just do it every other year, every few years, to see what it needs. But this is a great plant. It makes a lot of berries for me, and flowers. You can dry the flowers for tea or tincture. The berries you can tincture. The berries you can cook and make into a syrup. It's like an immune boosting syrup. Black and blue elderberry are good for that. Here's another native plant that I really like. This is salal. Is it Gaultheria chalone, I think is the binomial. What's that glare? I don't know. This is everywhere around here in the Pacific Northwest. It makes a really nice berry that actually tastes really good. And it's again a great like pollinator plant. This one is neat. It's in the heath family. And one thing I learned last year about the heath plants in the heath family is that they require like a special mycorrhizal fungus in the soil. It's like an ericoidal fungus because they're in the Ericaceae family. So things like Madrona and salal and other things in the heath family all need that in their soil. So if you have a plant in that family and you're like, why isn't it doing so well? Go to the woods and just kind of scoop up some dirt from under a Madrona tree and bring it back to your plant, and it'll help inoculate that soil. But this is a very important plant to indigenous people around here, both the leaves and the berries. And it's really nice. It spreads kind of slowly, kind of across the ground. And again, you can propagate it by layering. A lot of things will propagate by layering. Just kind of bring the stems to the ground and let it get in contact with the earth, and then it will just send up roots down there, and then it'll just kind of keep spreading outwards from there. But yeah, great plant, easy. It's in the shade right now. It doesn't seem to care. Got a few things here kind of up against the house, including like a rotting gourd from Halloween. So, don't notice all the junk because, some things just don't get done around here, and that's okay. One thing I do have is this Pacific bleeding heart. This is a nice native flowering plant. It's not flowering yet, but it's got these pretty lacy lacy leaves and really pretty flowers when it makes flowers. Over here I have a new addition. I have a little tiny Publitzia tamnoides here that I got from Edgewood Nursery last fall. Just wanted more of them. They're tricky to get going from seed, and I'm sort of impatient. I'm like, I'm just gonna buy a plant or two. I actually bought two, and this one seems to be doing okay. It's pretty shady here, so I think it'll be all right. And near that is an ostrich fern coming up, edible fern. Probably just the right stage, or maybe even a little past for eating those fiddleheads. Whoops. sometimes I just kind of forget to harvest things because I get busy with other stuff. This big shrub here, this is a twin berry, which is not an edible berry, not for humans. It's a great plant for birds though, and bees. And pollinators on my hand there. So you can see, well, not very well. They're very small. The flower buds are there, but they're in pairs, which is why it's called twin berry, because it's a pair of flowers which turn into a pair of berries. Yeah, and it gets big. Whee! So yeah, there's that twin berry, and then here's kind of the rest of the garden. It's that elderberry. What's a service berry there? Which doesn't look like much right now, but that's a very cool berrying shrub or small tree. There's the gumi. Oh, here's the oso berry. I forgot to talk about that. This is another native shrub, which is so beautiful, and I'm not really getting the best angle here. The light is not on it, but you can see the flowers. There's my dad in the background. Try not to get him in it. Okay, here's another angle of that oso berry. So yeah, this is an early flowering, early leafing native shrub that again the bumblebees really like. And it's like, it's so pretty. I really like how mine has gotten, how big it's gotten. Nice shape. And you'll see these all over, all over in this part of the country. Especially now when there's not too many other things leafing out. This really stands out with the flowers dangling below and like the leaves sticking up above. It's really cool. The leaves kind of have a little bit of a cucumbery taste. And, you know, they're kind of edible. I wouldn't eat a lot. They have, I think they have cyanide in them. So, you know, don't make a whole salad of them, but a nibble here or there is fine. Makes sense. It's in the, well, it's in the rosaceae, the rose family. But yeah, Umbellarius cerasiformis is the binomial, like cherry form. So I think that probably has to do with how the bark looks. Looks kind of like a cherry bark. So this corner down here looks very unimpressive. I know it doesn't look very exciting right now. The only thing that's sort of green right now is the sweet Cicely, which is looking nice. But this is a pretty new bed I planted last year and a half ago. It's just like another perennial vegetable bed. So I have things in here you'll never guess. You can't see anything. I have some udo in there, which I hope is, I had two, hopefully one is, at least one is alive. And I had several hosta in here. And that is another ostrich fern, which I guess is kind of, you can kind of see it. There, it's coming back. It's doing okay. We'll see. I just wanted more gardening space. Could never have enough, right? So I think that's it for the front yard video. This is kind of walking along the side here. Evergreen huckleberry. Oh, there's a witch hazel. It's past its bloom. It was very beautiful when it was blooming. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of give a little tour of my garden and some things I have growing that are fun for me. I'm gonna do several of these throughout the year so you can kind of see as things grow and start actually looking good. I have a lot more that are things that are still sleeping basically. So as they wake up, we'll pay them a visit as well. Thank you for watching.